Right now, the National Weather Desk, Hilary's wrath. The historic storm brings heavy rain, flash flooding, and lots of problems to Southern California.
We're not built for this kind of rainfall. That's my main concern.
Even Death Valley was not immune to flooding. We're also tracking the tropics in the very busy Atlantic.
We've got 3 named storms and 2 tropical waves out there.
New England tornadoes. Why is this year so active for twisters in that part of the country?
A very strong jet stream for this time of year really has helped, along with the heat and humidity.
The butterfly effect. Why the federal government wants you to send them dead butterflies and moths.
It's in good enough condition to pick it up and put it in a Ziploc bag and an envelope and send it off.
And we'll take to the skies over beautiful Glacier National Park.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. What's left of Hurricane Hilary is now over Nevada. The first tropical storm to hit Southern California in 84 years brought floods, mudslides, and power outages to the Golden State. And while the storm is gone, the threat of flash flooding is still very real, especially in areas that do not normally flood. Heavy rain from the storm also sent firefighters running for their safety Sunday afternoon. Now, this is taking place near the California-Nevada border. A massive, fast-moving mudslide came barreling towards the group, destroying everything in its path. Fortunately, there were no reports of injuries, but the mudslide completely blocked a road, stranding the firefighters until it could be cleared. Hilary made landfall in Baja California. It battered the Mexican state with major flooding. At least one person died in the storm. You can see how all the water turned streets into rapids right there. Mike Valerio has more on the impact of Hilary had across Southern California.
Tropical Storm Hilary inundating Southern California with high winds and heavy rain.
We're not used to this level of precipitation generally, certainly not in the middle of summer in August. We're not built for this kind of rainfall. That's my main concern.
The record-breaking rainfall unleashing flooding, mudslides, and debris flows across much of the region, stranding vehicles and damaging roads. In Palm Springs, half a year's worth of rain falling in just a 6-hour period on Sunday, according to the National Weather Service.
The most significant rainfall over a 60-minute period anytime in the history of Palm Springs. That's how quickly the system is moving.
Emergency responders there conducting swift water rescues amid rapidly rising rivers and flooded roadways. Rescues also playing out Sunday in San Diego and Ventura County. Officials warning people throughout the state to take the storm seriously.
Take nothing for granted. If you think, boy, the skies are clear and I can go out on a long jog or walk, just be cautious. Wait till this time tomorrow night to consider that.
Hilary is forecast to continue to move north through California and dissipate over central Nevada on Monday, the first tropical system on record to strike the Silver State. In San Diego, I'm Mike Valerio reporting.
Tropical Storm Hilary triggered an evacuation order for 2 areas at Lake Mead National Park. Authorities say they are concerned about major flooding while urging anyone in the area to seek higher ground. It's unclear when the evacuation order will be lifted. In Las Vegas, some places saw flooding while others escaped relatively unscathed. Kaylia Patterson has that part of the story.
A weather event in the Southwest for the books.
I was expecting what we usually get. What we got was something so unexpected.
Setting a daily rainfall record at the airport. Heavy rain hitting people's homes on and off all the weekend.
That was my fear, is that the water was going to go in and then accumulate and go into my house.
It's a problem Teresa Morales has had since she moved into her home last month. And just this morning, her backyard covered in rainfall.
It was pretty bad, even to here, to the rug.
But not everyone in the valley had the same experience.
I saw a little bit of downpour, but no flooding.
Give credit to the Regional Flood Control District. They've built 104 detention basins across Clark County to help with flash flooding.
And flooding from the storm also closed Death Valley National Park. The park closed Sunday afternoon. Officials say they expect flash flooding to continue through Monday morning. The Furnace Creek Visitor Center received 1.04 inches of rain by midday Sunday. That's nearly half of the amount of rainfall the area typically sees in an entire year, according to the Park Service. While it might be surprising to hear about a desert flooding, it's actually the dry weather that makes it more vulnerable. Meteorologist Chloe Coast explains.
Clay, sand, and rocks make up the majority of soil types here in Las Vegas and across southern Nevada. Rocks and clay soils don't allow much water to go into the ground when we see a lot of rain, which is why when we do get a lot of rain here all at once, it often leads to this flash flooding.
And the Atlantic hurricane season is very active with 3 named storms and 2 tropical waves active right now. Meteorologist Lauren Oleski brings us up to date.
We've got Tropical Storm Franklin, Tropical Storm Gert. This was Tropical Depression 6 yesterday. This became Gert at midnight, so about 6 hours ago. And then Tropical Storm Emily. Let's look at Tropical Storm Franklin. Winds at 50 miles per hour. It's going to be bringing some heavy rainfall across Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, and Haiti as we move through the next few days. Tropical Storm watches already posted across parts of these areas, even some warnings. This will be moving north and then continue to move out to sea. No threat to Florida. Neither is the wave that's out near Texas, or really the Gulf of Mexico, that's expected to move west and impact Texas maybe by tomorrow. This could strengthen into a depression or tropical storm later today before landfall there.
Most of those Atlantic storms won't threaten the U.S. because of the heat dome that's over the central U.S. right now. That means excessive heat warnings for millions of Americans living from the upper Midwest all the way to the Gulf. It's going to feel like 118 degrees in St. Louis today. Parts of southern New England are still cleaning up this morning following a series of tornadoes on Friday. We have some dramatic video from a driver's camera system. It captured one tornado crossing a major interstate. As meteorologist R.J. Heim explains, the region has seen more tornadoes than usual this year thanks to a very strong jet stream along with heat and humidity.
7 is not unheard of across southern New England, correct. There have been more active years for sure, but this is pretty much par on course from what we've seen over the past few years. First, the technology with our Doppler radar. We're able to detect these tornadoes from the office. Like today in Scituate, we saw a debris signature which tells us a tornado is on the ground. Also, people have cell phones and social media, so we hear about these tornadoes. People take video of them. Years ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago, we heard about damage. Could have been tornadic, but nowadays we're going to hear about it.
Not sure that we're having more tornadoes than we ever had. We're just having more information, and the Doppler radar is able to confirm it as well.
The meteorologists here go on to say bigger tornadoes in southern New England can and have happened, but they're rare.
Keep in mind, these are not our Midwest tornadoes that track for miles and miles. These are very short-lived tornadoes, maybe only a minute or two. They tend to pretty much drop down to treetop level and lift back up.
And while video evidence of a tornado certainly does help, meteorologists rely on radar to determine if a tornado has formed. Meteorologist Anthony McCary shows us how they do it.
The same cell produced 4 tornadoes in southern New England, the first and the strongest, that EF2 as mentioned, maximum winds of 115 miles per hour, the strongest in Rhode Island since 1986. It would later be further touchdowns through North Attleboro, Mansfield, Stoughton, and Weymouth. So when you see these colors, the reds and the greens, that is indicating precipitation going toward or away the radar site, which is up in Norton, Massachusetts. When the colors are close together like this, that forms a couplet. So you get the rotation in the atmosphere, and that's certainly an indication to us on radar that there could be a tornado on the ground. And not too long after, it would touch down right here on Byron Randall Road in Scituate. It would continue to move across 116, just about to approach Johnston, move into Johnston. This is a regular radar image, which we use on a day-to-day basis. And just looking at this, it's kind of tough to see where the tornado is. That's why we use all those other types of products. And an additional one is called correlation coefficient. Anywhere it's not red, which would indicate similar objects such as rain, you get these greens and blues. That's something else being lofted up into the air, such as trees or other debris. So a tornadic signature that we could see on radar in just a few minutes' time Friday morning.
In other parts of the country, the intense heat continued over the weekend. In Texas, 16 people were taken to the hospital with heat-related illnesses during a Snoop Dogg concert. It happened on Saturday in the Woodland area north of Houston. The venue outdoors and temperatures were in the triple digits. Officials say a total of 35 people were treated by medical professionals. All of those who were treated are reported to be in stable condition. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll find out why scientists are asking you to help collect dead butterflies. And we'll look at how wildfire smoke can impact your health.
A cold front will pass through the northeast as we head through the day on Monday. An isolated shower, maybe a downpour, rumble of thunder is possible in southern New England. And you can see temperatures to our south are going to be on the warmer side, cooler up towards the north as that cold front is passing through. And then we're looking at lots of sunshine across much of the area as we head into the day on Tuesday. But high temperatures Monday running in the 80s south, low to mid 70s all across northern New England.
I'm meteorologist Amy Aronson, and here's a look at the mid-Atlantic region. We've got a warm and more humid day ahead of us as high temperatures soar back into the upper 80s and eventually into the low and actually mid-90s. It's going to feel pretty toasty Monday afternoon. But I am tracking the passage of a dry cold front as that inches closer and closer towards us. That's when we heat things up on Monday. But coming in behind it, temperatures will start to fall to much more seasonable levels by Tuesday. And that's the scene here.
I'm meteorologist Vitas Reed. Here's your look at your forecast highs for the day. A hot one across the southeast. Looking at Tupelo, about 98 degrees, 96 in Mobile, 94 Atlanta, 98 in Raleigh, 91 in Charleston. We're looking at Jacksonville, 93 degrees, 96 in Tampa, 90 West Palm. Looks like we're going to see plenty of sunshine across the southeast. Kind of keep an eye on this storm over the Gulf that could form into some type of tropical system. Looks like what we are seeing is just a few spotty showers and thunderstorms here and there, but definitely South Texas watching out for that tropics.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
The United States Geological Survey is asking citizens in several states to send them dead butterflies and moths. It may sound a little strange here, but it's all in the name of research. I sat down with the lead on this project to find out how you can send them in and what they're going to do with them.
What I'm trying to do is establish a research collection comprised of butterflies and moths that can be used by any scientist within the USGS Bureau to further insect research.
How do you mail in these butterflies, these moths, other insects, and are there requirements for what to mail in?
Sure. So we're asking that people send in butterflies or moths that are at least 2 inches in size. And so if you just imagine 2 quarters side by side, about that big. Some folks have asked, does it matter how long they've been dead? It doesn't. If it's in good enough condition to pick it up and put it in a Ziploc bag and an envelope, then send it off. We can use it.
Yeah. So what's the process here? I mean, you just said you can put them in a Ziploc bag. Is that all you need to do?
Yeah, if you just put it in a Ziploc bag, if you're not going to mail it within a couple of days, or if it's like a classroom that teachers might be picking up, it's okay to freeze the specimens for a couple of months and then just mail them at the end of the collection period.
And how many states are participating in this?
There are 6 in this initial pilot. It's Kansas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Texas, Alabama, and Georgia.
Why these states?
So I needed to start small because I didn't know if people would actually do it. And so that was one of the deciding factors. I also wanted it to be really easy for people. And so there are some butterflies and moths that are protected by U.S. Fish and Wildlife. And so in those states, there aren't any protected at that level, with the exception of one in Alabama. And so on the flyer, they have a little QR code they can scan to make sure they're not sending that one.
What can we learn from this?
My colleagues and I specifically are looking at the presence, if there is a presence of organic contaminants that could be having a negative impact on them, thus contributing to the decline of their populations.
You can learn more in the full interview on YouTube. Just search the National Weather Desk. You can also find more information on where to send these dead butterflies. And now to Wisconsin, where efforts continue across the state to help what experts call a bird species in trouble. They say the population for the chimney swift has dropped a lot, around 72% in the past half century. Eric Peterson takes us to Green Bay for an event called Swift Night Out.
As the sun starts to fade over Aldo Leopold Community School in Green Bay, some birds begin to wind down for the day. And at the corner nearby, bird watchers gather to document the activity at the building's chimney.
Well, the main thing is just to keep a good eye. They don't start going in until sunset around that time.
Bay Area Bird Club member Wayne Kuhn is talking about small birds called chimney swifts.
We keep track of the first bird in, what time that is, how many birds total go in, and then the last bird in.
Kuhn is part of an effort called Swift Night Out. The continent-wide program is designed to count birds and track trends. Bird Club President Nancy Naback says the birds spend hours in the air but need places like the inside of chimneys to nest and roost. She says the population, both nationally and in northeast Wisconsin, is going down.
I was looking at some numbers from the second weekend in August 10 years ago. So we came out 10 years later, the second week, and our numbers that I've gotten so far are more than half of a difference, and not to the good.
Naback says people can help by keeping chimneys clear, but
chimneys aren't being built anymore with technology, so we know that habitat loss is a potential factor in why the chimney swift decline is so great.
Meanwhile, the count continues. Experts say migration may be underway. On this night, Wayne Kuhn counted 80 birds in about 45 minutes, which is about half the number just 6 days earlier.
Brook trout are beautiful relics of the last ice age. These days, they can be found high in the Appalachian Mountains. Meteorologist Brandon Silver took to Facebook to share more about these wild trout.
Our beautiful native brook trout are the only members of the salmon family you'll find in the Appalachian Mountains that are here without human influence. Now, of course, there are some streams here in Appalachia that have wild rainbows, wild brown trout, but they were brought here by people. The native brook trout find their way down here naturally, down from Nova Scotia in the past glaciation.
Since these fish love chilly waters, you got to be careful about when you fish for them. In the summertime, these water temperatures can simply get too warm. 68 degrees or higher, you probably don't want to fish. When water temperatures are below that, just use caution. Optimal temperatures are in the 50s, but these deep holes of water that you can find below these waterfalls, they can stay cold year-round, especially if there's a lot of shade along the stream bank.
And if you want to see more from our team of meteorologists across the country, be sure to follow us. Just search the National Weather Desk on your favorite social media platform or scan the QR code on the bottom left corner of your screen. Well, last weekend marked the 2-year anniversary of the massive flooding in the mountains of North Carolina from the remnants of Tropical Storm Fred. Rex Hodge recounts the devastation, the repair efforts, and what's still needed to recover.
The remnants of Tropical Storm Fred hit Haywood County with a vengeance, flooding and destroying homes and businesses, and worse.
Now, the anniversary of the flood, to me, will always be about the 6 lives lost. I mean, we can talk about the buildings and the homes rebuilt, you know, the grit and the grace, but we can't replace those 6 lives.
Most of those 6 lives lost at Sherry MacArthur's Laurel Bank Campground in Crusoe.
That's the one thing that one's the hardest.
She's still recovering emotionally. The cleanup of campers washed away, taking a long time. She's grateful to groups like Baptist Men on Mission.
Those guys have helped me tremendously. And then, of course, the county did pick up those huge piles.
MacArthur says FEMA money only helped a little and briefly. The overflowing Pigeon River swamped Bearwaters Brewing in Canton. The owner still waiting for federal insurance money.
It's right now about $133,000 that's owed to us that we haven't recuperated yet.
Kevin Sandifer says it would help with lingering repairs needed, cracked retaining walls.
Our canning line that was submerged during the flood is still missing a couple of parts.
The United Way of Haywood County is still helping flood victims.
When the Office of State Budget and Management is putting people back in their homes, they have no furniture or appliances, so we're helping with that.
It's been a rough 2 years in the Canton area with the flood and the mill closure. Grace and grit remain the motto as Canton, Bethel, and Crusoe are intent on full recovery.
Time for a short break, but first let's take to the skies above Glacier National Park in Montana.
Well, good Monday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael. The excessive heat spreading. We've got triple digits for most of Kansas and Nebraska and getting close to that, even into North Dakota there. Little rain to the far north, keeping Bismarck a little cooler with a cold front trying to sweep its way through. That triple digit heat continues to spread as we head into your Tuesday. Got a little rain across the northern Great Lakes, and that shifts its way out to the eastern Great Lakes by Wednesday. But notice all those 90s and triple digits.
Good Monday morning. I'm meteorologist Joe DiCarlo. Look at our forecast across the region. The big story is going to be Invest 91L that we're tracking possible tropical system headed towards far south Texas. Monday, mainly quiet 90s and 100s, but here comes a system into areas such as Corpus Christi, Laredo, down towards the Rio Grande Valley as you get towards Tuesday. And here's how much rain we may see. Some pockets 1 to 3+ inches, a little bit less the further north you head.
Well, hi there, everybody, and a good Monday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. The remnants of a hurricane moving through the western U.S. going to bring some needed rainfall, but also some more concerns about some flash flooding to parts of California and Nevada. That's where the rain will be heaviest today. Temps in Phoenix cooling back to 93. Spokane still terribly smoky at 81. But look at the remnants of Hilary continuing to push into the northwest to clean up that air later today. And that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
The Seattle area has mostly avoided the haze of wildfire smoke this summer until this past weekend. Now they're under an air quality alert until noon local time. Theron Zahn has more on where those fires are burning and how the smoke can impact your health.
This map shows the fires currently burning in the United States from Northern California and Southern Oregon all the way up the Cascades into Washington State. Fires in the North Cascades are sending smoke plumes into Seattle. And further east, a large fire burning west of Spokane has already taken over 100 homes. And look at all the fires burning in parts of Idaho and western Montana. Many of these fires are contributing to poor air quality. It's either moderate or even unhealthy. And in case you didn't know, doctors estimate an air quality index of 150, which is about in the unhealthy range, is the same as smoking 7 cigarettes a day if you stay outdoors. That's why it's recommended when the air quality goes down, you stay inside.
And we love to share your weather content on the air. You can find us on all of your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Just look at your screen. Just search the National NATWS Desk or the National Weather Desk. We'll be right back. Summer is winding down, but some areas are still dealing with record-setting heat. Tomorrow on the National Weather Desk, we'll look at ways to keep you and your family safe during the end of summer heat wave. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great Monday, and we will see you right back here tomorrow.